Welcome everyone to the semifinals of Coalition League's spring split. We had a bit of a delayed start here, a bit of technical issues, but we're back now and we will be streaming MGB versus 100 Weebs. I'm Random Minion Caster, and alongside me for game one will be Adrit Luna. How are you doing, Luna?
I'm doing good. Sorry for the technical difficulties, y'all.
No worries at all. We also had a bit of roster issues here. 100 Weebs having to last minute substitute their top laner. And I believe their top laner might be I Am Bad Vibes, their previous jungler. We'll have to get confirmation on that. But the picks and bans have already started here. For the side of MG Blaze, they are blue side. They banned out the Ornn, the Silas, and the Rakan here. 100 Weaves replying with a Cassiopeia, Syndra, and Vladimir. Now for Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So, for the side of MG Blaze, they have picked a Misfortune Nautilus bot lane, a Maokai most likely for that top lane there. On the side of 100 Weeps, that's supposed to be a Leona Draven, not a Kha'Zix. That was a bit of a technical error there. So that's a Leona Draven bot lane for 100 Weeps, and now they're looking to finish their first round picks here, hovering the Gangplank, and that will be locked in for 100 Weeps, so that will be new for them.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting pick. But again, it's I am bad vibes in the top lane instead of their usual top laner Ajax. So let's see how it does. I I'm not sure how it's going to fit into their current comp. We'll have to see what the next two picks are for Weebs to see if that's a good call or not.
Yeah, definitely, and that will affect the pick bans for MG Blaze as well. That Ornn probably targeted more at Ajax. That was a champion that he's had banned against him most of the split here. 100 Weeb's going to go with a Corki and Annie ban to round out their bans here, both targeted mid lane at Zyra. And on the side of MG Blaze, they're going to be banning out Poppy and Gragas. So looks like possibly top and jungle here in terms of bans. Now 100 Weebs will be getting their pick here, which will mean that NG Blaze gets to counter at least one of the lanes, but I believe it's jungle and potentially top or mid for 100 Weeps still yet to be picked on the side of MG Blaze. It's jungle and jungle and mid most likely to be picked now. 100 Weeps going to go with that Zac for their jungler for Kappa Crusader here.
So I'm actually kind of curious if that's going to be a Gangplank top or if maybe that's a secret pick from Puffin and that's Gangplank mid.
Yeah, it could very well be. I do believe Puffin has played GP in the past, but not recently, and certainly not in the Coalition League. On MG Blaze going to go with Orianna there for Zyra in the mid lane. So a bit of a different pick here. Looks like they're doubling down on team fights, and they're going to round up their composition with the J4 there. So definitely all inning on that team fight for MG Blaze.
Yeah, that makes Orianna a very strong pick for MG Blaze. She has three different ways to get the ball into the enemy team with J4, Maokai, or Nautilus, just to set up that beautiful shockwave into a bullet time. Really strong.
Yeah, and we are going to see the Lissandra, the last pick there for 100 Weeps. So that will be going over to Puffin. That means the GP will be going to top lane here. And we've seen Puffin play that Lissandra mid into Orianna before, has had good success with it. So just looking at the team compositions here, Luna, who do you think's got the better composition?
I mean, if we're talking more synergy wise, I would definitely say MG Blaze. They're gonna have a very strong mid game, even into the late game if they do well. 100 Weebs, their comp is kind of strong. It's definitely more of a 4-1 comp because I doubt GP is ever going to be with the team. I think he's just going to split all game. Leona Draven, that is a nasty lane to deal with since Draven can be considered a hyper carry, and as long as he's able to cash in on his stacks, that's going to be a lot of gold in his pocket. So he can get that power spike very early if Dilly does well. Zach has good setup for Leona, or Leona has good setup for Zach, either or. And Lissandra, as you said, Puffin has done well in Lissandra, so it's a pretty solid pick.
Yeah, and I think Zyra being forced onto a different champion here. All five bans from 100 weeks targeted at the mid lane. We've seen his Vladimir and his Syndra and his Annie just came up, I believe, last week. We haven't actually seen him play Cassiopeia and Corki, but they are some of his most played champions in solo queue. So, yeah, definitely 100 weeks looking to try and force something on the mid lane. But I'm interested to see how top lane goes. I believe this will be the first time we see Dirty Hobo on a tank here. He's usually known to be a very aggressive split pusher, but Maokai not exactly uh, the strongest split pusher in terms of top laners.
Yeah, not necessarily. He again, it might not necessarily be for him to be able to just split because there have been games where you just see him top and people can't contest him because he can't be killed. He just keeps bringing pressure to him, and it's just wasted time because he still gets out. So that could be the game plan here.
Yeah, and he'll have to be able to hold his own against that GP as well from I Am Bad Vibes. So as you mentioned, that bot lane, something to watch for early game. Leona Draven, very, very kill heavy bot lane here. So MG Blaze's bot lane of Nautilus and MF will have to be careful. And I believe it was last week we saw the Leona into Nautilus matchup, and you said last week that you really think people need to stop picking Nautilus into Leona there. So this bot lane here definitely something to watch for. Ward Box and Bubble Lift, or sorry, it's Kairos being their support. Kairos and Bubble Lift here definitely have to watch out in that bot lane.
Right. I mean, I don't get why people keep doing it. If they can outskill and play better, then it can work. But I mean, it's easier to outplay a Nautilus as a Thresh in a losing matchup than it is a Nautilus into a Leona. Because with Thresh, at least you have the option. With Nautilus, once you hit the hook, you're in.
Yeah, so definitely we'll have to be careful there. So Andrew Weeb's gonna potentially have a bit of advantage in the early game, and MG Blaze tripling down onto that team fight composition, which they've seen them execute in the past. So definitely will be an interesting game to watch here. And this is first seed MG Blaze versus fourth seed 100 Weebs last week in the quarterfinals. Both these teams 3-0 their opponents here. MG Blaze has yet to drop a single game in the Coalition League Spring Split, have not lost any in the round robin, 3-0 the quarterfinals. 100 Weebs, much more mixed round robin phase here. Going pretty even in terms of win losses, but last week they had a really, really clean, good showing for themselves. So should be an extremely exciting matchup. And with that, we are going to head into a short intermission break while the teams load on to the Rift. So we'll see you guys in a couple.
attention. We wake up in new states of suspension. Disbelief, this relief, this decision, this release. Oh please, just lay with me. Just lay here. Oh, you sail into the stars, over waves, over oceans. I hear you whispers in the dark, but the truth remains unspoken. Oh, you stare into the sun, always looking for an answer. I know it's only just begun. Regrets dissolve among the embers. Just lay here.
Okay, and we're back, everyone. We are on to Summoner's Rift here. Both teams coming on, and that will be MG Blaze on the blue side with top laner Dirty Hobo, jungler CPEC, mid laner MG Zyra, and the bot lane duo of MG Bubble Lift and MG Wardbox. On the red side, top laner I and Bad Vibes, previously the jungler for 100 Weebs. The current jungler Kappa Crusader, mid laner Puffin, bot lane duo of MG Dewey and Sharp Otter 6 here in 100 Weebs. They're going for the invade again. We saw this last week. Every time they have the Leona Draven, they want to get aggressive, looking for an early invade here. Will be spotted out. Zyra going to just throw down the ball. That will give them some vision. They aren't going to leave any wards behind. Instead, 100 Weeb's going to go in, get vision there, and we do see it being matched by MG Blaze in their bot side, going into the 100 Weeb's blue buff area, getting their own vision down there instead.
Should we just start calling this the 100 Weebs hype train?
Yeah, they do this awfully often, and they did just get vision and back out here. So MG Blaze just going to match that. They don't want to stick around. The level 1 probably does favor the side of 100 Weebs a little bit. They've got the Leona damage. Draven at level 1 is very, very nasty, and we do see here both junglers going to start up on the unwarded side of their jungles onto their respective red buffs here.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see if MG Blaze wanted to go for the 5-man, because they could have had Maokai and Nautilus chain TC to get a pick potentially.
Yeah, but in the semifinals, it'd be kind of risky to put everything into that level 1 basket, and we've seen level 1 ganks go horrifically wrong before, so both teams going to opt for a safer start instead, and it looks like they're just going to show it right away, so both teams will know where the jungler started, will be aware. that both of them started it on their rip-ups. And the wards are still there as well, so they can confirm that as both junglers now in their blue side of the jungle going to go to their blue. So we might potentially see an early gank come out on the bot side for 100 weeks and on the top side for the side of MG Blaze here.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting. Oh no.
Yeah, lots of action in that bot lane, but it's going to be 100 Weeps getting the worst of it after they engage that fight. MG Dewey going to take the bulk of the damage there, so that will stop the aggression a little bit in the bot lane. They did manage to get the early level 2, but I don't think trading your entire health bar was very much worth it. So definitely 100 Weeps would benefit now from a jungle gank, because I don't think they're going to be able to win this bot lane that comfortably after burning everything that early.
Yeah, that was definitely some bad positioning by MG Dilly there. I mean, at level 2, Leona beats Nautilus, but at level 1, Nautilus actually outbeats Leona.
Yeah, and we do see Kappa Crusader here, the initiate coming in from Wardbox. He gets the hook, but it's not necessarily who he wanted. He got onto Sharp Order and he's tanky. So it looks like 100 Weeks will be able to disengage as Kappa Crusader misses the pull there, misses the knockup as well, and they'll reset. CPAC responding also with a mid lane gank onto Puffin, but won't be able to get anything at all from Puffin as Puffin just quickly ease away to safety under turret. And with that, it looks like both junglers will be going back to farm. CPAC going to take the scuttle in the bot side, so we'll have a bit more vision there.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that CPAC decided to gank mid, because it's going to be extremely hard to gank Lissandra because of her E. Especially if you're someone like J4. Like, if he decides to go for the Cataclysm later on in the match on Lissandra, she can just E herself out, and it's just like, okay, thanks for using your ult, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. Top lane, Gangplank is notoriously difficult for a lot of junglers to gank, but it shouldn't be too hard for a J4. Knockups are not cleansable. Even eating an orange will not mean you're okay if you get hit by the knockup there, but it looks like they'd rather opt to get vision control as we see wards going down onto the bottom side of 100 Weeks jungle. Now bot lane, MG Dewey gets hit by yet another hook. Gonna have to flash himself out to safety here, but Sharp Order is left behind. They don't really want to go on him, and Sharp Order will be able to get out. MG Dewey gonna be the one having to base here extremely low on health. So that bot lane that we had expected to go the way of 100 Weaves, because of a couple of bad positionings here, will instead go over the way of MG Bubble Lift and MG Ward Box.
Yeah, like I was saying, if Billy's not careful with his positioning, he's just going to give up free kills. And that is definitely something you don't want to do as a Draven. You have to stay alive for your stacks.
So Luna, do you think this impacts 100 Weaves' plan a lot to have their bot lane, which should have been a winning lane, lose here?
Not necessarily. They might be losing now, but it's still really early in the game. If this was more around the 10-minute mark, I would say it would be more impactful, I think. But just since it's so early, I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, he gets the early back, he picks up a couple of long swords, and just that in itself can be a huge spike for Draven.
A summoner has disconnected.
So that's good for them then, because at least it won't impact them too horribly much. And we do have a pause here, as it looks like the jungler of 100 Weebs is having some connectivity issues. Kappa Crusader disconnecting here, so he's just going to restart his router and get back into the game. So we do have a bit of a pause here, and as we're in this pause, taking a quick moment to look across the teams here, fairly even. I am Bad Vibes 26 CS to Dirty Hobos 24, going extremely even in that top lane so far in the jungle, 24 to 28 or 28 to 24 CPAC and Kappa Crusader respectively. So again, jungle not much difference. Mid lane Zyra and Puffin going toe to toe, 33 to 29. Bot lane here is where the difference is. There's about 400 gold difference between the two teams, and most of it will probably be sitting in this bot lane here. Bubble is able to pull himself a hit by about 10 CS from that early back, which they forced off of Dewey. And Dewey's going to come back to lane with 2 long swords, won't have a completed item at all.
Right, but like I said, even just 2 long swords, because Draven does scale so well with AD, just the 2 long swords could be enough to help pull him back into a very threatening position.
Yeah, definitely, even though there's a gold lead on the side of Bubble if he hasn't bought yet. So definitely will be disadvantages for him. And Leona Draven bot lane's always extremely risky in the sheer amount of damage they can put out. Draven carrying a lot of damage in his kit, and Leona's passive proccing will also give an extra burst, can be also very, very tanky. And Sharp Otter, still fairly healthy in lane, will be able to engage anytime Dilly wants to engage. And
Yeah,
so if we go ahead.
something also to point out is that Otter still has both of his summoner spells, whereas Wardbox, his Ignite will be up soon, but his Flash is still down. Now, Bubblelip does still have both of his summoners as well, so he might still be able to live if they go try to all-in MF. We'll just have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and the Ignite, though, is a counter to the heal, so the bottom lane of 100 Weeps might have a small advantage here in terms of getting the damage out or being able to find a kill. We'll be able to cut some of the healing from Bubble Lift there. Now, in terms of both team compositions, I know we talked about how they're very heavy on the team fight on MG Blaze. So what do you think are the keys to success here for both teams? What do both teams need to do in this game to get ahead?
So both teams, I'm imagining looking for a 4-1 setup with the top laners, like, ideally, they're not with their team at all. Ho-Oh can show up to toss an ult and provide some CC, and maybe give,
Has reconnected.
I guess they would try to have Zyra split on the Orianna, which would feel weird. But Orianna does have extremely good wave clear, so she might be the best option too. And it's kind of iffy. Whereas, I mean, if you're Gangplank, you're just gonna sit in top lane, toss an ult across the map, and call it good. As for win conditions, I definitely think Draven's the win condition for
Summoner has
100 Weebs.
disconnected.
Lissandra can also be very impactful and put out a lot of burst, but when it comes to taking turrets, like, definitely not the best sieger. And then, I mean, like I was saying, either they're going to have either Maokai or Orianna do the split for MG Blaze, and I mean, you have an MF. That just kind of speaks volumes. You have an MF with a Nautilus and a J4 to help set up for bullet times. So, I mean, you get the MF fed, the MF's going to put in work.
Fair enough. You get the MF fed, indeed. And so far, Bubblelip doing a good job trying to get himself that lead to carry in the bot lane. But he does have to be careful later on in team fights. A Zac would be able to disrupt the bullet time. And we've seen Puffin on the Lissandra. He's not afraid to go in right into the middle of the enemy team just to get disruptions off. So Bubblelip will have to be careful with the positioning, and the rest of his team going to have to make sure that they can stop the damage from Bubblelip here. And yeah, as you said, it's going to be interesting because Dirty Hobo, Zyra probably looking to split push if they follow true to the MG Blaze standard strategy of the 4-1 push. But then, as you said, GP is going to want to split push as well all day long. So they might, 100 Weebs drop might be able to match the typical MG Blaze sort of strategy here. And it looks like Campus Crusader has returned to the game, and we are back into the game here. So Joey just getting back after having died in the previous fight, will be down a level but up 2 longswords here as we were discussing. Now Dragon is also up. It's going to be Cloud Drake for the first Drake, so that ultimate cooldown reduction to whichever team manages to get it.
Yeah, that will be huge for either team, really. Like, both teams have outstanding ults that definitely benefit from having extra CDR.
And we see Puffin here now forced to back out of mana. He did take Teleport as his summoner here, so won't have the combat summoner. Will instead have the utility. Zyra taking the cleanse. Definitely very conscious of the CC lockdown that Lissandra can provide here, and we do see the bot lane MG Blaze has base, so Dilly won't be able to take advantage of that small window he had. Instead, they're going to rotate over to that Dragon because they know the bot lane's gone, so they will have a numbers advantage. Zyra also basing in the mid lane. This should be a free Dragon here for the side of 100 Weebs.
Yeah, I definitely like this call. Like I was saying, just those couple of longswords gave Dilly enough damage to be able to hard push that wave into turret and give them Dragon Cryo.
Yeah, so they will have the cooldown reduction as well. Puffin and I Am Bad Vibes, both level 6 on the side of 100 Weebs, the solo laners here. So their ultimates will be available and that can benefit them. Dewey and Sharp Otter still a ways to go here. Dewey is catching up in some experience, but still down a little bit. Probably won't be looking for a fight right away, but will take the free poke if he can get any. Now the hook coming down onto Sharp Otter there. Sharp Otter taking damage, deciding to just walk away. Doesn't even want to try and get any return CC or trading here. They just want to try and get themselves leveled up, and they will lose control of that river bush and the red ward, the vision ward in that bush as well.
Yeah, I actually really like the call to back off there because the wave for MG Blaze was actually really, really large. So if they did try to answer with any kind of a counter engage, they'd just be taking extra damage from minions that they didn't need to take. So it was a very safe call.
Definitely, and in the early game, minions can do a lot of work. With that many minions, they would have taken more probably from minions than they would have from the combined bot lane of MG Blaze here. And with that being said, we did see Puffin recall again shortly after using his teleport to get back into lane. So looks like Zyra doing really well in this lane matchup against Puffin. And we have to keep in mind that I believe it was Puffin who picked his Lissandra into that Orianna, so that was supposed to be a counter pick.
Yeah, that's very true. J4 has shown mid a couple of times too, though, so that might also have, just given enough pressure for Zyra to be able to force Dilly out, or not Dilly, but Puffin out of lane.
And we do see Kappa trying to respond with a gank in the bot lane. CPAC is waiting in the wings, and Kappa is actually sitting on top of a ward here, so we'll zoom down, but can it save Bubble Lift? No, yes, it won't be able to save him, but it's going to be CPAC picking up first blood onto Dirty Dylan. We do see the teleport coming down from Dirty Hobo, and the teleport is good. They are turning it around. Sharpwater desperately trying to stay alive here. Now the teleport coming down from I Am Bad Vibes, but it might be too late here. Puffin coming down to the ball lane. Kappa is going to go down. His passive already burnt, and I Am Bad Vibes looking in bad shape as well. And right now it's a 3-4-2 in favor of MG Blaze here as they turn on, and as Puffin himself also goes down. So that's a very chaotic fight in the bot lane. 100 Weeks throwing everything in the kitchen sink, but they're disjointed. It's too slow, and it's going to be Zyra off in the mid lane just taking a turret while the rest of the team wins that 4v5, trading 2 for 4 there.
Yeah, that was it was a good attempt as an answer from 100 Weebs. I feel like Puffin, instead of going onto the tanks, should have tried to help Kappa, who was being chased by J4, and they might have been able to turn that into a kill for Puffin.
And there's more action in that bot lane as MG Blaze comes back to their lane. They get a beautiful hook onto Dewey, and Dewey's going to get chunked out completely. We'll have to blow both his summoners to get out here, and the bullet time doesn't quite convert the kill, but it will force them out, and that means Dewey and Sharpwater are going to be down even further in this bot lane.
Yeah, Dilly's definitely got to play a tad bit more careful. He is starting to get really far behind now. I mean, he does have that Vampiric Scepter now to help get some lifesteal, but either way, MF has so much burst that little bit of lifesteal might not help just right now.
Yeah, and you were saying that for 100 Weebs, that Draven is going to be a key integral part of their composition. They need him to get ahead, but it's okay. He's having trouble. So Puffin going to go down 1v1 to MG Zyra. Didn't have the out available just yet. Just need a couple more seconds. But just gets run down, chased down, will go down. Now Kappa Crusader trying to turn around and pick up Zyra at least, but CPAC was waiting in the wings, and that would be a 2-for-0 for MG Blaze. They're doing massive work here. They're up 7-2 at 10 minutes 30 seconds. So this is before the huge power spike that is the mid game for their team fighting composition. So MG Blaze in a really good position for themselves here.
Yeah, they are, like you said, they're definitely putting in a lot of work. As long as Dilly can stop doing this and play safer, like, he'll be able to get back into the game. But I mean,
But yeah, they need to position better and get back. Getting caught like that is not okay. Sharp Otter out roaming, getting some vision down, and Dewey's on his own, just gets initiated on once again, and Dewey will go down this time. That's his second deaths in about as many minutes here.
Yeah, and it's just like there's no reason for him to step up that far. The river push wasn't warded, and you see the bot lane's missing, so you don't need to step up. You can just play safe and let the minions come to you.
And with that, MG Blaze gonna have the priority here on both objectives. They were already starting up Herald, but a good drive-by from Kappa will pick up the Herald there. He's gonna just drive by and say thank you to Dirty Hobo for doing all the dirty work for himself. The rest of MG Blaze is gonna be able to pick up the second Drake, their Ocean Drake, for themselves. So that will be nice for their laning, but what they should have had both neutral objectives if not for that great play from Kappa.
Yeah, Kappa, that was a very, very good steal. Getting that Rift Herald might be just what 100 Weaves needs to get back to this game.
We'll have to see where it goes. Top lane, I am bad vibes, getting rooted up by Dirty Hobo, but he's fancying this trade. He's going to keep on fighting. We'll flash out just a little bit more. The Cannon Barrage won't be able to finish Dirty Hobo off, and he is going to go down, giving a free 1v1 kill over to Dirty Hobo in the bot lane. Sharp Order just trying to delay the backs here. Kappa Crusader is in the area, potentially looking for a gank, but MG playing very conservatively, carefully here. They suspect something is up in mid lane. We see Zyra and Puffin brawling again, and once again Puffin not doing well for himself. Will go down to the minions. He ulted Zyra. Maybe he should have ulted himself instead, because he does end up going down. That's a 10-2 scoreline. Kappa now trying to run away with his life. Zyra's going to dive into the turret, take up 2 turret shots, but he gets the kill. 11-2 now. It's just going MG's way right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing. Like, Puffin is down levels on Zyra, and I mean, he's just taking free autos from Orianna, which Orianna's passive, the more autos you hit on a single target, the stronger they get. So it's just like, you're just giving free damage away that you don't need to give.
Yeah, and you're saying that 100 Weeps just needs to basically stop getting caught out in odd positions and they can come back, but now they're down about 5,000 gold here at 1336, and the game pace suddenly accelerates, and we're looking now more at the mid game because Bubble Lift's already completed his first major item, has the Infinity Edge here. His lane partner Wardbox has the Moby Boot, so we can see him, we expect him to be roaming a lot more top lane. Dirty Hobo's got the Tab, he's got the Sunfire Cape, so we'll be able to lane much easier into bad vibes. Now Shelly being dropped into the bot lane. They are going to try and get as much as they can, but the turret plating has gone down before Shelly hits, so they're not going to get the gold off that. They will get still a large chunk of damage on that turret. They're going to be able to take first turret down for 100 Weaves and close a bit of that gold gap. Now Dewey has to be careful, doesn't want to get caught out here. Kappa is in the area, but he's looking to back out, and he will get spotted out by the good vision that MG Blaze has in that bot side here.
Yeah, it was, I mean, bot lane is definitely the lane that's hurting the most 400 Weaves. So I like the call to drop Shelly down there and help them get first turret.
Yeah, but the gold there might not be enough for them. First, the gold difference here in the bot lane about 1,000 apart. Top lane fairly even. Mid lane, the gap is starting to form here. Over 1,000 gold in the jungle. 1.7k. That's huge. And Zyra's going to extend that lead. He gets his third solo kill onto Puffin here. Puffin, again, having a really rough start to the game. And we've seen this happen multiple times now last week. Bot lane, Bubble Lift, and Wardbox going to be able to pick up their first turret as well.
Yeah, and like you were saying, it's just like the amount of vision that MG Blaze has on the map is amazing compared to what 100 Weaves currently has.
And a fight in the bot side jungle. Sharp Order going to be the sacrifice here to let Dewey get out. Dewey's still hovering, seeing if he can get anything, but he doesn't want to be there. Will back out, so they only lose one, but that's a 4-man collapse, and that's going to be Summoner's Blown on Dewey again. Flash and heal down once more. He's having to use them almost on cooldown defensively here.
Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt 100 Weaves a lot more than they want it to.
And in the top lane, I Am Bad Vibes taking a lot of damage here from Dirty Hobo. Will get run down. That's a kill over to Dirty Hobo. Mid lane, we do see Puffin finally getting a return kill, getting the shutdown. That's a 550 gold bounty going the way of Puffin there. So great for him, but he does still go down in that trade. That was a 2v1 with Kappa and Puffin against Zyra, and Zyra still manages to trade one back over. So obviously very, very far ahead right now. They'll need at least 3 people, it looks like, to be able to take Zyra down safely.
Yeah, and I mean, Zyra has almost a whole 40 CS over Puffin. He has a completed item, whereas Puffin's still working on getting his first item completed. That it's definitely a very rough game for Puffin right now.
Yeah, and Zyra with the Oblivion Orb there. Nobody's really building magic resist yet on the side of 100 Weaves aside from Sharp Otter, so that's going to be hitting for a lot of damage, shredding a lot of their existing magic resistance there. And the less magic resistance you have, the more efficient that Oblivion Orb is. And we do see MGB hitting over to Inferno. They're going to pick up the third Drake for themselves. 100 Weaves probably aware of it. They're in the area, but they won't be able to get in there. And that's going to be Inferno over to MG Blaze.
Yeah, and since both teams were able to get one dragon to 4 soul, both teams will have the option to have 3 Infernals.
And Puffin getting caught out there will be able to ice himself up, but it won't be enough. The Photon coming across will pick up 2 here. Will get the kill onto Puffin and assist in the kill onto Sharp Otter. Now Kappa Crusader left in the midst of it. He's the only one there. They're diving him. That's 5-man diving that turret. Dirty Hobo can tank it for days. He has the Ninja Tab. He has the Sunfire. Has a lot of armor. Has a lot of health. They will get the inner and 3 there on that pickup. So looks like MGB is just gonna shove it right down mid. They have the numbers advantage. Only Dewey there. I'm Bad Vibes finally showing up back in his base, but it'll be too little too late. That's the inhibitor. Gonna go down at about 18 minutes here. One of the fastest down inhibs we've seen.
Yeah, MG Blaze, they are not playing games today. They are in it to win it.
And you just have to question how much not having Ajax is hurting 100 Weaves right now. I am Bad Vibes doing okay for himself in that top lane. Does have a CS advantage, but I think they just didn't have the right composition prepared for running it with a GP here. And if you're 100 Weaves, you know, at this point, maybe you're thinking about next game. What sort of adaptations do you think Weaves will have to make to come back in game 2 here?
Well, they definitely first of all need to see if they're still going to be running I Am Bad Vibes, or if Ajax will be available for them. If not, then I don't know. It's really hard to say because their comp this game is still really strong. They still have 2 tanks in Zac and Leona. I just think it's just a few bad calls here and there that they need to watch out for. GP made a few bad fights against Maokai that he didn't necessarily need to fight, and he might have underestimated his own damage. And Dilly's just gotta make sure he doesn't get picked out.
Has been destroyed.
Yeah, that bot lane which should have gone the way of 100 Weaves ended up going quite poorly, but it's still possibly one of the better lanes here. Mid lane, Puffin going 2-6-0 was extremely brutal. And we look at the vision here, 100 Weaves defensive vision across the board has to watch only their own side. They've only got one ward past the river here, and it's just sitting literally in the mid lane to see rotations. And when we saw MG Blaze's vision there, they've got aggressive wards. So on the MG Blaze's half of the map, there's hardly any vision. We see Solar Flare coming out. They're looking for Bubble, they're looking for Zyra, but they don't get them. Kappa Crusader makes it back there, but the bullet time is uninterrupted from Bubble. They do get the kill onto Zyra. Puffin going to throw his life, trading it, but that's a worthwhile 1-for-1, and now Dirty Hobo getting in there. He's super tanky. He's going 1v3. He doesn't care. CPEC going in with it. They will pick up the double kill onto the bot lane of Fury and shove Otter in. Now Kappa Crusader did manage to turn around, pick up Bubble at least, but he's gonna go down. His passive already burst. That's a triple kill over to Dirty Hobo. 8-0-5. He might be on attack, but he's still going hyper aggressive here. They dropped Shelly, which they just picked up onto the Nexus turrets here. Will be able to get turrets. The Chunk there combined with Shelly means it's easy to take up that turret, and Dirty Hobo gonna get his 9th kill of the game. 9-0-5 now. That's both in Nexus turrets down and open Nexus and Warbox going in. He didn't get the stun. Not quite sure that's what he wanted to do. Have to flash out. Will be able to get out as Dirty Hobo is now the target for 100 Weeks, but he's so tacky. He's looking like he's going to be able to pick up Dilly, forcing the flash out of Dilly. He's kind of low right now. His passive not going to be enough to keep him alive, even if the Spirit Visage he will go down, and the bounty, 700 gold, maximum bounty, going to go over to Puffin on the Lissandra.
Yeah, and as we can see, Maokai still has a 200 gold bounty on his head, even after just being killed. So, that just kind of tells you how well Dirty Hobo's been doing on Maokai, although we haven't really seen him do too much on tanks so far this season.
Yeah, we did have some questions about his tank play since he's never played it before, but it's been answered this game. The tree is still unkillable enough. Bubble caught alone on the side of 100 weaves. The Zenith blade comes down, Solar Flare comes down. Good lockup. Will be able to shut him down. The kill gonna go with the Iron Bad Vibes. Now Zyra potentially the one gonna get caught out here. It looks like MGB is a bit overconfident, losing 3 here in the last minute, and that's both their carries down right now. The Baron is up. Inferno will be spawning in 10 seconds here, so 100 Weeps will have a bit of a chance to possibly come back in here.
Yeah, that's definitely questionable calls by MG Blaze to be so far up. I mean, you might be ahead, but I mean, if you're not playing, if you give up at all, like anything to a Draven can come back really strong.
But even with both the carries down, MG Blaze not afraid to fight for that dragon. We do see a ward box going down here, but they look like they have managed to stop the dragon take for a little bit. Flash coming out of CPEC as the cannon barrage comes out for Iron Bad Bites. And we see the teleport pumping as he's managed to clear out the mid wave. He's going to rejoin the rest of his team here, but Dirty Hobo just going into that dragon pit. The man is very, very tanky, knows it, and not afraid to go in, but Bubble Lift has arrived. Time coming across, and it does work. He gets both Dewey and Pumpkin here. Kushkapa gonna be able to secure the Inferno, but at what cost? He himself is down. The passive pop here will not keep him alive, as Bubble Lift will be able to pick him up easy here. So they're trading 4 for the Dragon and Dirty Hobo, and now the MG Blaze has 4. They're gonna push in only Iron Bad Bites left alive here. This could be the final push as Iron Bad Vibes desperately trying to clear up the minions. Bubble Lift, Zyra here. They're going to go in, chase him off of that. And CPET here as well. Wardbox has respawned and is running up the mid lane, hoping to get to his team. But that's an open Nexus. Nexus turns went down earlier to the last push with Shoei. So it's going to be Bubble Lift and Zyra pushing in now. Dewey is back up. Shock Potter back up and pumping as well. So 100 weeks all back up. Bubble Lift going to take down Iron Bad Vibes. CPET going to go down. Won't be enough. No, it won't, because Bubble will just focus down the next 100 weeks, won't be able to stop him. That's going to be game 23-42, the final game time here. 28 kills to 12. Congratulations to MG Blaze.
Yeah, very well played. They unfortunately they didn't give enough focus to Bubble there, who was just hitting the Nexus. I'm just like, if your main carry is on the Nexus, then you got to make sure that you get them off the Nexus. Like, I can understand wanting to get the kill on Zyra because Zyra is also fed, but at a certain point, you just have to know when to disengage off of one target and switch to another.
Yeah, and I'm Bad Vibes doing a good job in the top lane. Highest damage on his team, and in comparison, that Draven, which needed to get ahead, he said, not doing so well for himself. Actually, lowest damage on the team at 4,995, less than his support.
Yeah, you hate to see that. When your main carry does less than a tank, let alone 2 tanks, or your support, you might want to be looking at switching things up just a hair.
For sure, and when you looked at that damage chart earlier, we did also see Dirty Hobo doing a ton of work for his team. Second highest damage on his team, despite being on a tank. So Hobo, an absolute monster, and 100 Weeps is going to have to look into how they want to handle that top lane. And we can see in the lobby here, it looks like they're going to be playing Ajax for the second game for 100 Weeps.
Ah, I see. So we'll definitely have to see if Ajax showing up will help them into 400 Weebs, help them, get that reset, and get back into this the series of 5.
Yeah, and with that, we are going to head into a intermission break here between game 1 and 2, while both teams will be setting up for their next game, possibly reviewing how the last game went and deciding how they want to change things up on the side of 100 Weebs and how they want to continue their winning trend on the side of MG Blaze. So we'll see you guys in a couple of minutes here.